at how we can automatically generate the code. Let's say you quickly want to do a proof of concept for any website and you want to see if it's feasible to automate that website and how you are going to automate. So for that purpose, we can generate the initial code using a code generation tool, which is automatically provided by the Playwright. So this is the command which we can use, which is npx playwright followed by codegen and name of the website that you want to automate. Let's try this command. So I just have copied this and pasted in my terminal. Let's run this command. As soon as I run this command, you can see it navigated to the URL which I provided, which was playwright.dev. And in addition to this, it also opened me another terminal wherein it will show me what all steps I am performing as part of testing this website. All those steps are or will be recorded as part of the navigation which I'll take when I'll be testing this website, and all those scripts will be displayed as part of this window. So the first step was navigate to this website, which is playwright.dev. You can see it automatically generated a line of code for me that the script will navigate to this website. Let's say once we have navigated to this website, now you can see to whichever element I am hovering over, it's highlighting that element and it's also giving me the locator for that element. So let's say if I want to check if I'm able to click this text, I can just hover over to this element and I can perform a click action. As soon as I click on this text, you can see the next line of code got generated automatically, and it's replicating what I just did on the web browser. I clicked on this text, so it's just imitating that step, that clicking of this text. Now let's say if I want to click on the get started button, so when I'm on this website, if I'm hovering over to this get started text, you can see that it's able to identify this locator using this text, so I can perform the click action. As soon as that action is done, that same line of code is generated here. In addition to that click action, it's also validating. As soon as I did the click action, the URL of the page got changed. Now it's /docs/intro, and as soon as this action is performed, next step is to check whether the URL is also changed to this particular location. Let's say if clicking on getting started is navigating to some different URL, then this check will fail when this test will be executed again. Similarly, you can perform another actions, and you can, like this, you'll be able to generate the test script. So now you have one more test. So let's just copy this text and paste it as part of our initial file that we created. So this was the first test that we created as part of last video. Now let's paste the second test here. So you can see there are no errors. It is able to accept this new test. So the first test one was the basic test. This is the auto generated one, so I am just mentioning auto generated so that I know that this part of test was generated automatically using codegen. I can save this file, and in order to end the session which I am already in, I can simply click on Control C. That will end those session. Now you can see we have two tests, and let's try and run this again. So for running the test, we have npm test. This time there should be execution for two tests. First was the older one, and this is the one that we just created. Let's try and see if this works. So you can see here we were able to see two browsers, and both of these tests were executed successfully. Here you can see it was running two tests using one worker, and both the tests got passed. Let's say the same scenario which we discussed, instead of ideally, let's say it was supposed to navigate to, let's say, this URL, but in reality it will navigate to /intro. So this time this test will fail at this step. Let's run this test again. So now you can see it's waiting as at this screen. Why? Because it's not able to find that URL. And here is the failure. Okay, I hope it makes some sense how we can automatically generate code using codegen from Playwright. And once we have this auto generated code, you have the flexibility of refactoring this code. If there's anything that you do not require as part of this code, you can take that out. If you feel that you don't need the assertion to check the URL of the page, that also you can take out. So once you have refactored the code, you can just easily rerun the code and it should work as expected. So as of now, you see that it executed both of the test cases sequentially. So in Playwright, we have two ways if we want to execute any code in parallel. So what we can do, we can either create two files out of this. So let's say we have this initial file and this is our second file, and I can just rename this as spec test2, and so this will contain our first test. I'll remove the second one from here, and from this I'll remove this first one. So now because both of these tests are part of two different spec files, it will run both of these tests in parallel. Let's try again npm test, and now you can see we have two browsers that got popped up not sequentially but in parallel, and both of them got executed. So here we saw that the total execution was 4 seconds. However, here in 3 seconds we were able to execute that same test. So this is one way of parallelizing your test. There's one more way in which we can run tests in parallel within the same spec file that we'll be discussing in our next video. Thank you.